Good evening. Welcome to QUT Web News.
Good evening.
Slain schoolgirl Tiahleigh Palmer's foster father has been charged with her murder. The 56-year-old was arrested today. His wife and 2 other men have also been taken into custody.
Rick Forbin was one of 4 people taken into custody this morning, nearly a year after the 12-year-old's body was found on the banks of the Pimpama River. 2 other men, aged 19 and 20, and Tia's 54-year-old foster mother, Gillian, were taken in for questioning. The development came a week after a vehicle was seized in relation to the homicide of the Queensland schoolgirl.
It's possibly been one of the most difficult investigations that I've been involved in.
Tiahleigh was last seen alive on October 30 when she was dropped off at Marsden State High School.
But I'd rather be standing here and Tia not in this position, Tia still be alive.
The arrest came shortly after police confirmed Tiahleigh's foster father was the former owner of the seized car.
It's a tragic event that has occurred, so I'm very pleased with the way the investigation has gone.
Rick Forbin will appear in the Beenleigh Magistrates Court tomorrow. Liana Walker, QUT News.
Research into heart disease has been given a $1.3 million boost. The funding for Prince Charles Hospital will allow world-first engineering advancements in the treatment of one of Australia's biggest killers.
Working with a further $1.2 million provided by the Prince Charles Hospital Foundation, the Queensland Government grant means big things for heart disease research.
The innovative work of the research group here has the potential, of course, to improve the quality of life for people living with heart disease.
Prince Charles is at the forefront of research into mechanical assist devices. These machines mean patients with heart disease, like Tony, can safely wait longer for a transplant.
You don't actually have to wait for someone, sadly enough, to say lose a life for then you to gain a life.
Almost 90% of Queenslanders carry the risks associated with heart disease, but less than 20% of donated hearts are able to be transplanted. The amount of time it takes to transport donated hearts has been a huge problem.
When you're in a state or a country the size of Australia, the longer the muscle is out of the body, the more dysfunctional it becomes.
It's hoped the new funding will help increase the number of usable organ donations by prolonging the amount of time a heart can spend outside the body. Melissa McKay, QUT News.
Hinch has admitted to the occasional glass of diluted wine after vowing to never drink again. The senator had said he'd no longer touch alcohol following his life-saving liver transplant in 2011.
Hinch says he only resumed drinking with the permission of his surgeon.
I cleared it with my doctor and he said, "You're fine."
Former partner Natasha Chadwick has taken to Twitter saying, "The self-proclaimed human headline has been back on the booze for more than 12 months. Senator Hinch confirmed the pair ended their relationship days ago and says Chadwick vowed to publicly embarrass him.
Hell hath no fury. And so welcome Darren to the world of bunny boilers, I suppose.
The 72-year-old says he received the blessing of his organ donor's family and is open to public judgment for his decision to indulge in watered-down wine twice a week.
I've talked to Linda Gardner, who's the mother of my donor this morning, and she says, "Darren, I have faith in you."
Senator Hinch says while he is saddened by what he describes as vengeful behaviour from his former partner, he'll wear it. Amity Bailey, QUT News.
Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull continues his New York visit. He spoke about Australian border control at the UN General Assembly before talking up Australia's economic growth at Wall Street.
The Australian Prime Minister returned to familiar ground today to promote Australia's economic growth. The Goldman Sachs alumni toured the floor of Wall Street before saying Australia's 3.3% economic growth is the envy of the developed world. He also suggested Congress ratify the Trans-Pacific Partnership Trade Agreement. Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump both say they won't support the agreement should they win office.
TPP is more than just economics. It's more than just trade, although that is critically important. It is a statement of America's commitment to the region.
Earlier, the PM was at the UN General Assembly where a declaration for refugees and migrants was unanimously adopted. Mr Turnbull says more needs to be done to help those who can go home do so quickly and safely. His comments came as Turkish authorities seized 61 migrants, mostly Syrian, attempting to reach Turkey from the Greek island Lesbos.
The reality of people smuggling is one of profit from and exploitation of some of the most vulnerable people on earth, and we are all too familiar with the tragedy of lives lost at sea.
The PM is in the US until Thursday. Jed Theed, QUT News.
Back home, the RACQ is warning drivers to be aware of major changes to some school speed zones. The 40 km/h speed limit may be in force all day long.
When school resumes after the current holiday period, some motorists may be caught out. And it could be in the middle of the day. Instead of 2 different go-slow times before and after school, drivers may be confronted with this: a 40 km speed limit from 7 a.m. all the way through to 4 p.m.
They're required to have flashing lights, so when motorists approach, they are warned at all times of the day that they just need to keep an eye out for children.
In some zones, it's a work in progress. Outside Ambo's Treacy College in Indooroopilly, one of the original signs still stands unchanged, but only 75 metres away, there's a new sign with the all-day limit. The school's playing fields are across the road, creating a split campus situation.
They cross the road during recess time and for PE and then after school as well. It's quite a busy area.
And with the new signs, the same fines apply to those who exceed the 40k limit.
The number of times that there's been police radar guns at the top of the hill is just numerous. Some weeks it was up to 4 times a week that they would be there.
It's a game of keeping your eyes peeled, as not all school zones have changed. Some signs still remain as 7 to 9 a.m. and 2 to 4 p.m. Madison Scott, QUT News.
A circus using exotic animals in Redbank Plains has provoked the ire of the Ipswich City Council. The council banned similar shows in 2009, but in this case it appears to be powerless to stop the show.
The Lennon Brothers Circus is here at Redbank, but it's facing opposition from animal welfare groups as well as the council. The circus is currently operating on what it says is private land, but the council says it's government land. Local councillor Paul Tully isn't happy.
For wild animals to be caged up for 20 or 30 years is unacceptable.
The RSPCA supports that stance.
Well, we don't believe in the use of exotic animals in circuses. We believe they're much better off in an open plain zoo situation.
But the circus is adamant that it has their animals' best interests at heart and that they're well taken care of.
I love and care and respect for those animals, as does everybody else here on the show. They always come first when it comes to anything on the show.
With the Gold Coast City Council following suit and implementing a ban on exotic animals at circuses, it's unclear whether there's a future for these types of shows in the state. The other option available to circuses is shifting the focus to solely human performers.
I've been to circuses where there are no animals, and they're pretty entertaining.
Performances would be better, I think, just to move on, leave the animals alone.
For now, the show will go on. James Howard, QUT News.
Our honours system is a way of saying thanks to acts of bravery and courage, but it also recognises the vital work of those behind the scenes who help organisations like our emergency services to excel.
From lawn bowls to ophthalmology, 22 ordinary Australians received awards of honour this morning for extraordinary services.
Kay and I congratulate you wholeheartedly on the great honour bestowed on you all today.
Marsha Love received the Ambulance Service Medal for her long-standing contribution as a paramedic. She's a pioneer female paramedic in many roles, including officer in charge, and paid tribute to her colleagues.
We all see ourselves as the same, male and female, and that we can contribute to the community.
Shane Tinsley works for the Queensland Fire Service. He's contributed to the development and implementation of rescue policies, processes and training.
Pretty happy about that. It's a very good award to receive.
Professor Prasad Yalagada from QUT was also honoured in today's ceremony. His outstanding contribution to the field of engineering was recognised, as well as his services within the Indian community.
Encourages and motivates a lot of other people to take up community.
Tomorrow marks the closing ceremonies for the awards here at Government House. For many of these outstanding recipients, their duties continue. Imogen Carr's QUT News.
To AFL now, and it's do or die this Friday night as the Geelong Cats and Sydney Swans face off before next week's grand final. Both teams are carrying injuries, but coaches say their players are ready for the clash.
Geelong defender Lockie Henderson has been declared fit to play after suffering a knee injury, but his return may bump another player out of the match. Coach Chris Scott is refusing to rule out any of his players, nor speculate on the last time the teams clashed in the finals round.
I say quite regularly that what happened last time we played or early in the season isn't all that relevant, so what happened 5 years ago certainly isn't relevant.
The Cats coach says his guiding philosophy is that he plays fit players, as simple as that. As for the Swans, Kurt Tippett and Gary Rowan are still on the mend. After 6 days of rest, Tippett's likely to return, while Rowan's knee is better than first thought. Coach John Longmire is giving no clues either as to his lineup. This is the first time in more than 80 years that the boys have played one another at the MCG. The Cats are tipped to win, but they've never beaten the Swans in a final. And devoted Western Bulldogs fans are celebrating their team's chances in the final. Thousands of decked-out doggies converged on Melbourne's Whitten Oval for the team's open day training session. Grace Cadden, QUT News.
Good evening. Time now to take a look at the weather. Around southeast centres today, Brisbane climbed to 25 degrees. The sunny coast reached 23, while the Gold Coast and Ipswich both dropped to just 9 degrees overnight. Around the nation tomorrow, Sydney will have a max of 21. Melbourne will only reach a top of 16. Canberra and Perth will shiver with 6-degree minimums. Adelaide and Hobart will drop to 8, and Darwin a top of 32. Across Queensland, Mount Isa will drop to 16 overnight. Longreach will fall down to 14. Cairns will have a max of 30, while Mackay and Rocky will reach 28. The outlook for Brisbane over the next 3 days. There will be rain at times tomorrow, but Thursday and Friday will be mostly sunny, with tops of 24 degrees. That brings you up to date with the weather. And that's all the news we have for now.
We're back tomorrow with more QUT News. Goodbye.
Goodbye.